Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So this is kind of like my first video. I filmed like videos when I was younger, but I stopped, so I decided to restart my YouTube channel. My name's Crystal, and my first video is going to be a story time about my labor and delivery, as you can see in the title. Okay, so I have she's about to be 4 months on March 17th. She was born November 17th, and her name's Riley. So let's get into the day she was born. Basically my labor was very hard and it was very painful. Like, it was not a joke. So about a week before my delivery, okay, so basically her due date was November 17th, and every Friday I had turned a new week. So at like a week before, I was about 38. No, I had turned 39 weeks, and yeah, I was 39 weeks, and I had went to see my midwife, and I was only 1 centimeter dilated. My water didn't break. I had like no progress or anything. So so she started telling me, you need to walk up and down the stairs, and then she told, you know, my daughter's father, like, we need to have sex to get me dilated and like all this stuff. Like, yeah. So what I did was, I actually am a assistant teacher at a daycare, so I decided to rearrange the classroom and do all this work to try to dilate, and I didn't. So I was very scared to get induced. I did not want to get induced. It's more painful than naturally going into labor, and I naturally wanted to go into labor, which that did not happen. So okay, so then the following week I had went back to the doctor, and I was still 1 centimeter dilated, no change. So that was a Tuesday. So the Thursday before my due date, which was November 16th, she had said, okay, you come in for one more sonogram, like, we want to see what's going on, and if you don't give birth by the Friday or that weekend, which was the 17th, then we're gonna have to talk about inducing you. So I was like, oh no. So the Thursday now, I had went to go get my sonogram done, and it was like in the afternoon, like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever. So I went and I got my sonogram. I got to see my baby. She was, well, when they're already big, you can't really see them as clear as when they were smaller, but you know, we saw it. So this time I had went alone to the sonogram, because usually my daughter's father and my mom come with me, because this is my first pregnancy, was my first pregnancy. So this time I had went alone, and my daughter's father was at work, and my mom, she was stuck at work, but she ended up like calling me, like, okay, I got somebody to cover for me, like, I'm on my way. And thankfully where I get my sonogram, that's my daughter, where I got my sonogram, it's not that far from where she works. So so then, yeah, so when I was getting my sonogram now, like, me and the technician were talking, and like, I noticed that this time she was taking like a very long time to do my sonogram, and I'm like, okay, like, whatever. So she was like, yeah, we'll wait for your mom, blah blah blah, and like, we were talking and blah blah blah. So then basically when my mom gets there, she was like, okay, so I have some news. And I was like, oh, and mind you, this was like a week or so before Thanksgiving, so I kind of was like, I want to give birth before Thanksgiving. Like, I don't want to be in the hospital and like giving birth, and then, you know, you can't eat or whatever. So yeah, so then so basically when my mom got there, she goes, all right, so we have to get the doctor because it's showing that you have low amniotic fluid. So the amniotic fluid, I believe, is like, you know, the fluid in the sac, like when your water breaks. And so okay, hold on for my daughter. So yeah, so it's basically the fluid in the sac. So she was like, it's showing that you have low amniotic fluid or whatever. So she was like, we're gonna have to send you to the hospital and you're gonna be giving birth today. We're gonna induce you. And the way she described it is, well, the way the doctor described it is like, if you're going on vacation, so the baby's going on vacation for 9 months, driving, and like towards the end, the baby's running out of gas, the car's running out of gas. So that's all it was or whatever. So I had to get induced because if you run out of the fluid, you know, it puts the baby in danger and all that stuff. So okay, so then the doctor was like telling me, but I guess like while he was telling me, like I looked scared and my mom said my face dropped, like I was just scared or whatever, because I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it's finally here. I'm like, I was terrified to give birth. So originally I wanted to give birth naturally. I didn't want any pain medication. So the doctor was telling me, like, I had asked him, I'm like, okay, so if I decide that I do want it, can they give me the pain medication? And so he said, yeah, so there's 2 pain medications. He said one's the epidural. He explained what that was, and if you don't know what that was, basically it's like a shot in your spine to numb you from the waist down, and you can give birth without feeling anything. Well, the contractions, because sometimes it wears off before you give birth. And then he said there's another one that they could put in the IV, and it basically just like, it doesn't numb you, but it like lessens the contractions, like you don't feel it as harsh. So yeah, so then I was like, okay. So after that they gave me like a stress test to see if I was having any contractions, and it showed that I wasn't, or like I had a couple but I didn't feel them. And so then after that he was like, okay, so like after you leave here, we're gonna give you the paperwork and we want you to go straight to the hospital. So I was like, all right. So what happened was, I actually, like, after I left there, me and my mom were like walking back to work, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so scared, like I can't believe this, like blah blah blah. And so then we got to work, and my dad was there, and I told my dad, and he was like, all right, so just go home and get ready. And at this point I only had her hospital bag packed, like I didn't even have my stuff packed. And I was like, yeah, I gotta go do this and that. And so like I was just stalling, like I was walking around. It's a daycare facility, so I was like stalling, walking around. I was talking to the teachers. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give birth, like they're inducing me. And like I just like looked like I wanted to cry because I was just like so scared. And so then my dad was like, all right, you need to get your ass home and like get ready, like we gotta go to the hospital. I called my baby's father. He was like, you know, he's hyped, like this is his first kid. He couldn't wait or whatever. So when I came home now, like girl, I took my time. I was not playing. I came home, I went in the shower, I shaved my legs, I shaved my private parts. Yeah, I shaved my underarms, I straightened my hair, I packed my hospital bag. Then I came down, I made myself a sandwich because I was like, you know what, I know I'm not gonna be able to eat in the hospital and I'm gonna be hungry. Let me make myself a sandwich, which wasn't good, by the way. Like, it was horrible. So I did that. I was just stalling, like I was taking my time, like watching TV and shit. So then like around 5-6 o'clock, my baby's father, his name is Malik, he came home, and then my mom came home, and like we went to the hospital, and the hospital is about like 15-20 minutes from my house, not that far. So we went and they checked us in. And so when they checked us in, they took me by myself inside, I think it's called triage, where like they ask you your questions, they put in my IV. Oh my god, I still have like the IV mark right here. Sorry about my crusty ass nails. So yeah, so I had like, yeah, that IV mark, and that was something I was scared of, because I know they put it like here in your hand, and I was like, I hate needles. Like, I could get tattoos, but when it comes to needles, I hate it. And you would think I would be used to it, because during like your pregnancy, they take out so much blood and like run tests all the time. So then what happened, okay, so then after that, they make you undress, they put on your gown, whatever. So then after that, like, they put me in the bed. My Malik came and my mom came, and we were like talking or whatever. And I think my mom stepped out somewhere, or like went to go get my dad, went home or something, like, I forgot. So then it was just me and Malik. And my midwife came because I was very set on her being there when I gave birth. Like, you're delivering this baby, I don't want nobody else, like, you're who I want. And she made it her duty, like, to come. Shout out to Dr. Wendy, well, Wendy, because she was the real MVP. So she came, and when she came now, she checked if I was dilated. I was still 1 centimeter. So then she put like these, I forgot what they're called, but like it was like a small pill, and she inserted them in me. And she said, so this is like to bring on your contractions, basically. So I was like, all right. So she said, we're gonna put this one in, and later on, depending on how it's going, we'll put in another one. So I was like, okay. So she put that one in, and then with this, you lay down for an hour, and then you walk for an hour. So after I laid down for an hour, like, my cousins had came. Okay, I had like a lot of people in and out. Like, I think the doctors were upset. Like, they were like, bitch, like, you need to rest, like, you can't be having all these people. And I was like, listen, we a Spanish family, like, this is how it's gonna be, so you need to get used to it. So anyways, so I laid down for an hour, we were hanging out. I was getting contractions, but I wasn't feeling them, but you could see it on the thing, like, you know. So then after that, the nurse came in, and then she made me walk for an hour. So me and Malik walked around the hospital, like, not the hospital, but that floor for an hour, because they don't let you leave that floor. So we walked around, and then you know, we were just talking and like all that stuff. And while we were talking, the nurses were like, you don't feel any contractions? So I was like, no. She was like, well, it's showing that you're getting like some pretty big ones. And I'm like, I don't feel it. And then she goes like, yeah, you're gonna start feeling it. So I was like, oh my god. So then I was like, well, if this is contractions, like, it's lit, like, this is gonna be so easy. The contractions now at this point, they had they were just coming back to back, back to back, back to back, like waves, and they were big, and it wasn't even giving me a chance to like breathe in the middle, you know. Like, it just was like just coming at me. And I was crying. At this point, my cousins had left. It was just my mom and no, I think my cousins were there. They stood there till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, because yeah. So then it was like, I was just in so much pain. So then like the nurses had came, and they were like they were kind of like rude, and they were kind of like, you need to take that pain medication, like, it's not up to you, blah blah blah. And I was there like, I don't want to take it. And I didn't I really did not want to take the epidural, because I just was scared for my back to get messed up. And also I already have like back problems, and bless you mamas, and I, you know, didn't want more back problems in the future. So my mom, she never had any epidurals for we have 3 kids. I'm the oldest. She never had any epidurals. So I was trying to like do the same thing, like be a phenomenal woman, but that was not in my favor. Now they kept coming to check if I was dilating, and all those contractions, can you believe that I was still at 1 centimeter? So basically what happened was, because I was still at 1 centimeter and I was not dilating with all these contractions, they basically said that I had no choice but to take the epidural, because my body kept tensing every time I had a contraction, which wasn't allowing me to dilate. So that was that. So around 2-3 o'clock in the morning, the anesthesiologist came in. Matter of fact, the whole epidural situation was a big thing. Like, when I decided to take it, my boyfriend, he was having a fit. He was like, oh hell no, you're not having it, like that's gonna fuck up your back and blah blah blah. And my dad, all I gotta tell you is I'm the firstborn of my dad's side. He's Trini, you know, so very overprotective. So he was like, nah, like, you like, don't do it. And I just was there crying in tears, like, I have to do it. I cannot do this pain. Like, I feel like I'm gonna die. This is not, it's not fun. So anyways, at the end, the anesthesiologist came, and he ended up coming in like 2 minutes, because I think I was like the second or third person that night in the hospital. Like, there wasn't a lot of people giving birth. So he came, he gave me the I laid on my side. My mom was in the room with me, we were holding hands. I just remember that I just was looking at her and I was like, I never want to do this again, and I was crying. And so then I had, you know, laid down on my side, and I didn't really get to see the needles and stuff, but I just know that he was like explaining step by step, don't move, you know, blah blah blah. So I said okay, so I laid down on my side, he did it, and it did not take that long. And it's honestly, the epidural was the best thing that I could have done throughout my labor and delivery, to be quite honest. And honestly, it didn't even hurt. A lot of people feel it, but I didn't feel it. And as soon as he put it in, I was having a contraction, and the contraction just disappeared. And then he was like, you're gonna just feel shock waves, like in your legs. And all of a sudden they just went like boom boom, like it was mad weird. And then after that I was numb. I was like completely numb, and you know, like, and I felt like a relief. And then I just remember looking at the time, and it was like 3:30, and I was like, yo, I can't believe it was that late. And like, I guess I fought hard as long as I could without the epidural, and you know, I tried, but I couldn't do it, to be honest. So then at this point, we told, my boyfriend was like, you know, he worked, so he was tired. So like I said, I don't live far from the hospital, so we sent my dad and my boyfriend home, and my mom and his mom stood with me in the hospital overnight. After the epidural, I fell asleep. I was pretty knocked out, and throughout the night I do remember, because I was kind of like in a daze, you know, like you're drugged up basically. I remember them coming to check me, and from 1 centimeter I jumped to 4 centimeters, and then by the time in the morning I jumped to 8 centimeters. So at this point they called my midwife to come, and she came, and when she came, she checked me. I was 9 centimeters. She broke my bag, and after she broke my bag, she was like, cough for me, and I coughed, and she was like, okay, you're 10 centimeters, let's get to pushing. I was like, oh no, my Malik is not here yet, like we have to wait for him. And so she was like, all right, and I'm like, he's on his way, like he's gonna get in the cab. So we were like calling him, and we were like, oh, the baby's coming, like you need to come, blah blah blah. Now I skipped something. When I had woke up that morning, I actually felt the epidural wearing off, so I actually asked for a second epidural. Now the reason I did this, and it was a very big mistake, was because you know, when you give birth, there's something called the ring of fire, and it's when the baby's head is like right there like this, and you gotta push it out. And I was trying to avoid all pain. And so I asked for the second epidural, and my mom told me, are you sure? And my boyfriend's mom was like, are you sure? Like, you shouldn't do it, blah blah blah. Sorry for the lighting, it's the window. So I was like yeah, I want it, like I'm in pain and whatever. So big mistake. So when it came time to push, yes, my baby father, he came on time, and like everybody was in the waiting room waiting for Riley's arrival. So when it came time to push now, she was like, all right, you're gonna push when you feel contraction. And I'm like, I can't feel them. So my midwife had to tell me every time that I had a contraction. But because I could not feel, oh, mind you, like when I woke up and like all that, the epidural makes you like throw up. So I was like throwing up, and I didn't have anything in my stomach. Like I had water, I was drinking water, I was throwing that up. Like it was ridiculous. Like yeah, it was ridiculous. So she was telling me when my contractions were, and I was like trying to push, but I was pushing the wrong way because I couldn't feel it. So it took me a very long time to actually push her out. And throughout that time that I was pushing, I was actually throwing up. I started getting a fever. She started becoming this stressed out inside because she was like stuck in my canal because I wasn't pushing right. And you know, it's like all these complications, and it was all because I took that second epidural, which I shouldn't have. So I just remember like while I was like pushing, I was crying and I'm like, I can't do this, and I just felt myself giving up. And like you know, everybody was just trying to like, you can do it, like come on, and blah blah blah. And like Malik was like just making jokes, and you know, everybody like trying to make it like a better situation. But I was like, I felt myself giving up, and I'm just like, I can't do this. And they were like, my midwife was like, you came too close for a C-section, like you need to give birth, like you need to do this, come on. She was like, you're gonna have this baby at 12:45 or whatever. I had my baby on November 17th at 12:43 p.m. and she called it. And I just remember that last push, the epidural was wearing off. I felt like it like basically feels like you have to take a shit, like a really big shit, like and I just remember feeling that. And I remember just pushing on my own because yeah, just like I felt it and I just pushed. And like that push was the push that was like it was like I just wanted to get her out, and like that was just my main thing. And I did it. Like I pushed her out. I just remember feeling her head, and then I just remember feeling like a pop, and like her whole body came out, like it just squiggled out. And I was like, after she came out, I just remember laying there and I cried. And I cried because I was like happy to have her, but I also cried because it was just such a relief to have her just out after all of that whole long night and process. And it was such it was a very hard thing for me. And so I'm sorry about the lighting, guys, like I'm filming in front of my window. Yeah, it was a very hard process for me, and so I cried. As soon as she came out, she pooped on her mommy, and you know what they say, that's good luck. And she came out on her due date at 40 weeks because it was a Friday. And what also made it a hard delivery was because, you know, babies are usually born face down, and she was born face up. Yeah, face up. So it was a little more difficult to push her out. And she also had the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, but she was okay. She was born 6 pounds 7.4 ounces. She was so tiny, oh my god. And when she came out, I just remember like these two big bridal eyes just staring at me, and she was so white, like her skin was so white. She has her dad's eyes, so they're like super big. And she didn't really cry when she first came out until they started like cleaning her up and stuff, and then they gave her to me all wrapped up, and she was just so tiny and cute. And like I just was like, yo, I did that, like I gave birth. And like everybody was so happy, like, you know, everybody came to see her and everything. And it was a very special moment. My boyfriend, like when she popped out, he was like, she's here, like, oh my god, like he was so happy. And yeah, so basically that's my labor and delivery story. After that, they moved me into the mommy and me section, like floor, and that's where like I did my recovery. And it was my recovery was very like hard. It wasn't fun at all, but yeah, and then I got to bring her home that Sunday, I believe. Yeah, and she was just the cutest little thing, and I love her so much. And this is Riley. This is my baby girl. And you know, that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what I can do better, what videos you guys would like to see. You know, any suggestions. I'm very open to like whatever advice people have to give me, and it would mean a lot if you guys join this YouTube family. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon.